Hey guys, it's Passport Bro Visuals back at it with another one. And man, yeah, I just wanted to talk about they arrested the rapper Pooh, one of his man's Big 30, and it looks like his father too. And yeah, man, it looks like a big deal. And yeah, that's pretty crazy, and like, the situation, ain't really serious at all, you know what I'm saying, to have done what they did, what they accused of. But, man, it's crazy. And it's looking like, looking like they might really go away for like a good while, a good long time, And, but yeah, I wanted to talk about, like, when it comes to like fathers and stuff, I wasn't necessarily raised with my father, there, I did have good role models and stuff. I made my mistakes, and I did reconnect with my father as well, trying to, try to build with that, especially knowing that my grandmother wanted that for sure, and I know she wanted that, and I want to, we both want to try to honor her on that, as well. So, but yeah, like, it's a bad look, like, especially for, as blacks, what I'm saying, black people, you can't, I mean, it's some parents try to be parents when it's too late, you know what I'm saying? But also you got ones that, like, I don't know, maybe his dad is in the 60s, I don't know, or whatever, but, you do have a lot of parents that were kind of young, still, in the streets doing what they do, but they raised the kid, but they raised the child like, kind of like a little brother or something, like a little cousin, little brother, little sister, versus like an actual child, you know what I'm saying? And then when they try to flip the script or whatever, it's just not, they don't really help. So you got too many, parents out there raising their kids, but they raise them like, that's like their little buddy or something. Their little homie or something like that, And, he was there when they robbed Gucci, man, and, he kind of backed down from the situation, but they at least stay out of it. But at the same time, you're still the father, you still should have, stepped up, you know what I'm saying? But what I want to say is that, there's a lot of brothers out there, like you got to stop thinking that, just because your presence is there, that's enough in the context of being a father and all that. Because ain't no way that situation should have happened the way it happened. It should never happen anyway. But ain't no way it should have happened at all the way that it happened. And then two, all due respect, to their family. It really wasn't that serious like that, you know what I'm saying, to take it this far, you know what I'm saying? And then you're being emotional because you're being sloppy because you're being emotional. And it's easy to track how you guys are moving leading up to the robbery. And then y'all sold the jury. And I forgot the guy's name. He's a YouTuber, but he's also a gang member out there in California. He talked about, he was in the process of trying to get the chain back, but they already sold it. I feel like, no disrespect to, the cuz, but, it really ain't, you probably, I'm sure you had the power to get the chain back, but you ain't really got no real power to, like, help that situation not happen, prevent that from happening. But, it's, I respect him, it's all love, what I'm saying, to him, but yeah, just overall, it's just, I don't see what he really could have done. Because they outsiders too, what I'm saying? And then, like I said, you committing crimes, across state lines, what I'm saying? And that's not a good thing either, what I'm saying? Because that's actually worse. Because Texas, that'd be bad. But let's say they did that in Louisiana. Oh man, they probably throw the book at you. So that's another thing. A lot of these, YNs or whatever, they not paying attention to like the state laws. You know what I'm saying? Like you commit a crime in another state, that state is not going to extradite you back to your home state just so you can go to jail or prison out there. You know what I'm saying? No, you committed a crime in whatever state you in, you got to be out there in jail in that specific state. Because everybody knows, you know what I'm saying? You go do something in Louisiana, you pretty much screwed over. So it's like, why it's just dudes not thinking. But at the same time, you got dudes that are like, father. You got these guys out here. They supposed to be fathers, and they raising their children. They aren't really raising them. You know what I'm saying? It's like a little buddy or something. And that's why I don't advocate for, real young parents. And there's a lot of parents out there that's super young. You know what I'm saying? Around that late to mid-teen area, and they raise the child up. And they like in their rough early 40s or whatever. But they raise their child like kind of like a sibling. You know what I'm saying? So there's like a lot of laxness that don't really need to be there unless they got to develop themselves as being parents of their own maturity. You know what I'm saying? So it's just a hard, bad situation. I can't see myself being involved like that in a crime with my son or whatever, going to jail with him, going to jail at the same time for a crime. I'm supposed to be looking out for him. But like I say, there's a lot of parents out there that try to be parents when it's too late. You know what I'm saying? And but also you got a lot of parents that are raising their kids like siblings. And like I say, Pooh's actually parents, he's like 26. His parents is probably early 50s, like late 40s, early 50s. You know what I'm saying? So they probably had him like early 20s. You know what I'm saying? If his dad is like, let's say 48, probably had him at like, I'm trying to think, 28. Probably had him like, maybe like 22 or something like that. 20, something real young. Yeah, it's an adult, but it's real young, although they're a little bit younger. They probably had him, let's say 17. Yeah, that'd be like, or 16, that can be like 43 or 44 or something like that, something like that, and his parents stay together from what it looks like, but at the same time, it's like, it takes a lot, but it's a lot of maturing that has to be there in order to, raise and take care of that child, you know what I'm saying? But you can't raise them like they're a little homie or something, you know what I'm saying? Or like a little sister or something, you know what I'm saying? You can't be raising them like that, you know what I'm saying? Because that line gets blurred, and then when you actually mature and try to step on board to be a parent, and then it's kind of like almost it's weird to the child because they don't get it, you know what I'm saying? They get it, but they don't get it. And they're also kind of mad at you for not being more of a parent or what you're supposed to be, at the same time, maybe they could be better, but this is a bad situation. If you got that money like that, you know what I'm saying? When you got that money like that and you're moving like that, you know what I'm saying? So I just think that, when it comes down to it, the situation wasn't that serious. I mean, if I was Gucci, I would have never said nothing about the chain. You know what I'm saying? Oh, at best, I would have just said, y'all can go ahead and have that chain. It's not even serious, Then I, pay for the funeral, if not the whole thing. Be no beef, or at least if there is a beef, pay the $10,000. It can just be a beef off of that versus the chain thing. You know what I'm saying? But it looks bad because they actually, did the robbery, but you actually, sold the chain too. So that don't really help either. You know what I'm saying? So, but nonetheless, it is what it is on that part. But yeah, it was just a bad looking. It's just all bad. It's not really even that serious. You know what I'm saying? It really not. And that shit could have easily went, that could have went worse than what it did, you know what I'm saying? That could have actually went worse than what it did, you know, because, like, you know, Gucci Man could have got shot, you know, shot and killed, God forbid, you know what I'm saying? Same with whoever else was there, you know what I'm saying? But, yeah, like, you know, but I gotta say, like, a lot of the brothers out there that's doing what they doing, you know what I'm saying? That they gotta, like, not only stop what they doing, but you gotta watch what you're doing. It's deeper than just cameras is everywhere. You know what I'm saying? A lot of these dudes is, like I say, you committing these crimes, but you committed these crimes per se off a state, you know, behind, like, other different states. And you're not really paying attention to, like, the optics of it, you know what I'm saying? Just in case you get caught, you know, let alone the cameras is everywhere, you know. And like I said, that was just a really bad look. That could have easily gone a different way. You know, Gucci Man could be, you know, shot and killed, you know what I'm saying? And that would have made the situation worse. You know what I'm saying? Because it really could have went that way. You know, and if y'all did that to him, and, you know, police talking what they talking, like you guys did that to other people, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's even worse. You know, y'all can get into some serious trouble with that. And, you know, guys got to pay attention to what they're doing. You know what I'm saying? And, you know, but like I say, you know, the situation wasn't that serious. Bury your dead, you know, think, you know, mourn your loss and all that sort of stuff. And, you know, sometimes it's okay to just let certain things go, you know what I'm saying? You know, the contract thing, he could have waited, but I understand at the same time a lot of rappers want to get out of jail and they try to make something real quick, you know what I'm saying? But I would have just kind of like let that part go a little bit. You know, the contract thing, you know, Gucci, you know, as far as like the brief, you know, just before Pooh actually had gotten out, you know what I'm saying, he should have just go ahead and just, you know, put him out the contract. You know, that whole situation don't happen. But like I say, Pooh Shiesty, you know what I'm saying, he's problematic anyway. You know what I'm saying? You know, he's problematic anyway off his own strength. But yeah, like I say, man, a lot of these parents is like, at some point you gotta make the transition to be a parent and stop not being a parent, but also stop trying to be a parent when it's too late. Because that's really what this is. In a lot of different cases, a lot of them is raising them. All you're doing is really just raising them. You're not really raising them. You know what I'm saying? You're taking care of them, shit. You're not really raising them, and you're not really mature yourself because, you know, you ain't young when you had them. And like I say, you know, a lot of them is in that early, that sweet spot, like, you know, the teen, like pre-teen/teen, or like the years just before they become an actual official adult. You know, that's when they start having them kids. You know what I'm saying? And the child is like roughly, you know, 20 years younger than you. You know what I'm saying? Or I would say less than that. Then that's when you start having those problems. You know, so the child got to be at least 20 years younger. You know what I'm saying? But when that child is roughly like less than 20 years younger than you, it's a problem because, like I say, it's the growing pains of that parent is what led to the child, but they got to go through overall growing pains overall to grow up, you know, process-wise, let alone the fact that you now have to take care of a child, you know, the whole family thing. So that's an extra weight to that, you know what I'm saying, levels to that, so that makes it rough. But, you know, I do feel for those parents too, because they be messing up, because they be trying to change. But like I said, the child's almost practically grown somewhat, you know, they're looking at you crazy, you know. So, like I said, it's just something to think about. And, yeah, that's just not how you do it, you know what I'm saying? But you can't be a father, you know, be in the streets. You can't be in the streets and be a father at the same time, you know what I'm saying? So that's what he messed up at, you know, Pooh Shiesty's father. You know, he should have been on his case about committing these types of crimes, especially across state lines. And I think this is real bad, and I think this definitely they're gonna be definitely cracking down on these rappers who doing this, because like I say, it's him now, definitely Lil Durk situation. That situation was bad too. You know what I'm saying? That situation was bad too, because like, you can't, guys are not paying attention. You know what I'm saying? You can't be doing these crimes anyway, but if you're doing them, you can't really do them across state lines. You know what I'm saying? You guys went from block to block or neighborhood to neighborhood. Now you're crossing state lines, and now you're playing a different game in regards to that. You know what I'm saying? So, and that just adds a new, different dynamic that doesn't need to be there, especially if y'all not really paying attention to what y'all doing either. Like I said, Gucci could have, got killed behind this. You know what I'm saying? So, but Gucci made some mistakes too. I don't think the overall situation was that strong. You know what I'm saying? I think it was just compounded because of the situation with his peoples. You know what I'm saying? The family member died and all that. And I think the contract thing, that just kind of added, that compounded to it. You know what I'm saying? So that's what messed it up there. So for him, you know what I'm saying? So I think definitely some things Gucci could have did differently, but overall the situation is on Pooh, Shisty, and his father, and everyone else involved, because that situation was not serious enough, to go ahead and rob him, especially across state lines, especially when there's cameras and stuff like that. Sometimes you wonder, like, is this stuff just made up by these people? But no, it's real situations. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think that was a smart decision on them guys. But Pooh actually might be locked up for a good, you might get like 20 years, 15, 20 years behind this. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, he was already in Florida on home arrest. For something else, for like a gun charge or something. So he definitely want to get, if he hadn't already, get convicted on that gun charge in this situation here too. And that's in a different state, actually that's in Florida. So, if he's convicted of all that, he might just either serve the time in Florida, or they just extradite him technically to Texas to carry out a sentence that way. That's probably what they'll most likely do. If not, Florida could hold him, but like I said, unless they just transfer him, he get convicted for that gun charge, he do his little time there, and they'll just transfer him to the jail in Texas, the prison in Texas, and it will serve out whatever his sentence is. Everybody else who did the actual crime to Gucci Man there, if they ain't did nothing necessarily out of state, they would just serve their time in Texas. You know what I'm saying? Pooh Shiesty and his father may be exceptions. Big 30, he definitely will serve time, and he'll definitely serve time there, in Texas, But yeah, this is not a good look for any of these guys, you know what I'm saying? These guys are definitely going to jail for sure, But and it's just another look at for these rappers to like not go down that path, but also not try to cross state lines doing crimes. You know what I'm saying? It's one thing to like try to have a crime committed in another state. You're not there. That's one thing, but it's another thing to be there and to go there and commit the crime and then go back to where you came from. Like I said, like you're transferring from block to block and neighborhood to neighborhood to cross state lines, and the police, they already see that for what it is, and we already saw that with Lil Durk, and people was talking about it then, like that dynamic. They don't, actually with the Drake and Kendrick beef, you know what I'm saying, they don't want people crossing state lines or crossing country borders to, to fight each other because they got a problem with somebody from another side or whatever, you know what I'm saying. That's pretty chaotic in itself, So that's just something, something to think about. So, and that's all I got for this video. And I'm gonna check you guys out on the next one. Peace.